They're sorry. All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody, to another Thursday evening Carnivore Mastermind. I'm excited to chat with all of you tonight. I've got a great panel of carnivores here, and we're going to be talking about the topic of the week, which is stalling on this way of eating. So whether you're on a weight loss journey, a healing journey, whatever brought you to this way of eating, we all have some health goal that we start with, and then a lot of times, we accumulate so many benefits that we realize we can heal more and more things, and so our journey progresses and keeps moving forward. But there's times when you might stall and you might feel like nothing's happening, or you might feel like you're even moving a couple steps backwards sometimes. And I know that's been my experience. I've had my ups and downs so far in 9 months, and I've had to tweak things and do things differently from time to time. And I think that's probably a pretty common experience. But I got a comment this week on one of my videos, and I think we were just talking backstage. Christy's gotten the same comment from the same person. So we're not sure, and Christy's answered the comment. And so I kind of feel like I did last time, but I couldn't remember. But it got me thinking, and I thought it would be a good topic for us all to talk about this week together, since this is kind of the forum where, we can all, chime in from different backgrounds and experiences and try to help this person and see if we can, give them some suggestions about, what they might want to try moving forward. Now, disclaimer, none of us are medical doctors. None of us are giving medical advice or professional advice in any sense, but we're just here sharing our experiences, what worked for us, and throwing out some ideas. And so that was the topic that I asked you guys about in the poll of the week this week. Just kind of the general question about, have you ever had a stall while eating this way? A period where you stopped losing weight, stopped healing, or otherwise just seemed to lack progressive movement forward. And I asked for your stories and any solutions in the comments. And we got 205 votes or 206 votes this week. And, the vast majority, 58% of you said that, yes, there has been a period of time where you felt like nothing was happening. And that was followed up by this third option, which was 18% for it's been intermittent, a little bit of both. So maybe you have like a good time where you feel like you're moving forward, and then you have a stall, and then you move forward, and then maybe you have a stall again. And then the last few choices were like you've already reached your goal and now you're in maintenance mode. That was 11% of you. And then you left a comment, 8%, and then 5% only said, no, it's been steady progress since day one. So it sounds like we've got a variety of experiences, as far as the input from this poll. And there were several comments that I thought were worth highlighting too, if we have time today. Otherwise, I would encourage you to go read some of these comments, because there's a variety. Some people are in maintenance mode. Some people are still struggling with some certain things, healing wise, weight wise, all of that. So thanks to everybody who voted this week and gave us some interesting things to chat about. So I think we will, let me bring up, let's see. I had to restart my computer and fix my audio like right before we went on. So I had all my tabs open and now they're gone. So I had this question pulled up, but I just made like a page of notes, and I'll just kind of go over the basics of what this person said. And so basically it's a 35-year-old male, 5'11", 180 pounds, says they're plus or minus 22% body fat. They've been on meat and eggs only for 135 days at the time of writing that, which is about 4.5 months. And he says he's eating 400 to 500 grams of cooked meat a day, 7 to 8 eggs. So that's approximately 14 to 17 ounces of meat, and then 7 or 8 eggs. And so basically he's saying that he has not seen any change. I should probably pull this whole thing up because it's super long. Hasn't seen any changes in about 6 weeks. Hasn't lost any weight. He said he initially lost some weight and now is struggling to see any changes, and is basically asking, is it time for me to quit? Is it time for me to, how long should I wait essentially before I, technologically challenged. Can I share my screen? This one.
You should be able to share a screen.
Share it. Okay. So kind of his stats in the beginning here. So he's saying he's healthy. You know, he didn't come to this way of eating for chronic health conditions, nothing like that. Just wanted to change his body composition, essentially. And now, you know, initially lost some weight, but now, you know, he's saying, you know, nothing's happening for 6 weeks except for he's gained 2.5 pounds. He's going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, lifting weights, all good. His goal is to lose about 15 more pounds. Get this scooted over here. To be about 15% body fat, which is a reasonable goal, I think. But, you know, having doubts, I don't see how a carnivore diet will facilitate this. I've not experienced most of the benefits that seem common, like improved sleep, energy, disposition, etc., and no change in body composition for about 6 weeks. So how long should I stay on this carnivore diet to be able to lose the excess body fat? Second question, what's the minimum amount of time you should maintain this diet when it's not working for you? I think this is an interesting question. And then number 3, is this kind of, you know, in general, is this diet effective for those people who are already healthy and just are coming to it to improve body composition? I'm afraid it's too restrictive with no additional benefits. P.S. We're restating that, you know, he's not experienced any of the other benefits. And so that's kind of what got me thinking today, and I thought we could talk about that. And so I have a few notes and quite a few comments here, but I think I will go around the panel first. We'll start with Christy. And like I said, I think you just mentioned that you got the same comment. So I'm curious to hear what you responded. And, you know, I think this is good to talk about because it can be stressful and frustrating, right? If you feel like you're doing everything right, but then yet nothing's moving, the needle's not moving. And so we'll just go around. Everybody can introduce themselves and give us your thoughts about what might help this person.
Okay, so hi, I'm Christy. My channel is Meeting Wellness, and I did get this comment also on my channel. I feel like maybe he's, you know, just trying to go to carnivore channels and just like reach out for help from a lot of us, maybe. Okay. First of all, I'm not a male. I know Larry's going to have a lot to say about putting on muscle and things like that. So my own experience is that I started this to lose weight. I actually started keto to lose weight. And initially I did lose weight. I lost 20 pounds like right away. Do not pass go. It just went down over about 3 months. But that whole time I was tracking. Now I wasn't tracking all like for all the macros, although they were all there. It was because I was keto and I needed to track those 20 carbs, right? And I was, especially when I first started, I had never tried keto before. I didn't know what 20 carbs looked like. And when I was putting all that stuff in, I mean, I was meat-based keto, but I was still eating like I thought fat bombs like had to be done. I was still eating a lot, you know, cream cheese and of course a few veggies and things like that. But even so, I think maybe because everything was so tight because of the tracking, yeah, the 20 pounds just, you know, came off. And then after I went carnivore, I sort of, you know, stopped tracking. That's when I got all this energy. I started sprinting in October. And everything was going great. I continued to lose a little more body fat, although my weight stayed the same. I put on a little muscle. I have a body impedance scale. But then after October, yeah, my weight just sort of slowly started creeping up. And I wasn't real worried about it, but then it didn't stop creeping up. And so, and again, I wasn't tracking. I was just sort of doing what everybody says, you know, eat till you're full and all of that. So I didn't feel like I was overeating because I ate till I was full. But then I wasn't happy because almost the whole 20 pounds went back on. Now, let me just say, with that 20 pounds on, I'm still not considered overweight, right? So part of me is thinking, maybe this is what my body's supposed to be. It's not like it's overweight. Maybe this is just vanity that I want to have these 20 pounds, but then maybe not. And so, you know, you don't really know. And then the other thing is you hear different advice like everywhere, right? Increase your fat. No, increase your protein, track everything. Don't track everything. Like all the advice is different that you hear. So I tried a lot of things, but I will say to the comment that Neo read, it doesn't sound like he's tried anything other than he's eaten the 16 to 17 ounces of meat and the eggs, and he's just keeping on doing that, and nothing's changing, nothing's changing, nothing's changing. And I think 4.5 months is a good run to try something. And so if he's not getting the results he wants, maybe it's time to change something. Now, what that something is, I think everybody's an N equals 1. So recently, I've now lost 7 pounds back of those 20 pounds. How did I do it? I tried a bunch of stuff, you guys. And if you watch my channel, you know. So I added weights. And which I enjoy and I'm still doing, but my weight didn't it didn't help me lose the weight. I mean, I'm happy. I see muscles and stuff. I know I'm stronger because I can pick stuff up easily that I couldn't do before. But that darn scale, didn't want to move. I started tracking macros. I played with the fat and protein and all of that. Nothing. And then I heard Kelly Hogan's video a while back, and she starts talking about how she doesn't understand these people that aren't eating enough. And I was like, that's me. I'm like, how are people not eating enough? I understand that, yes, some people, but I don't feel that way. I can put down 1.5 pounds of ribeye. I can out eat a lot of people. And maybe that was just, I don't know, too much fat for me in a day because I was doing that and feeling satiated, but I think that was too much for me. So what I did was I don't want, so, and Kelly Hogan was talking about, she's a volume eater. I'm like, me too. So she's suggesting, try leaner cuts and then just eat your volume of that. She suggests, I forget what beef she suggested because I'm doing picanha, you guys, because it's sirloin. So it's lean, but you still have that fat on there to get you get that juicy, delicious thing of fat. And I'm like, I already eat picanha, but I'm going to incorporate it into my week. And then she's talking about chicken thighs with the skin on. So I have some coming, pasture raised chicken actually, tomorrow. So I changed that. And then I added walking. So I put an app on my phone and it's not stressful to the body to be walking. It doesn't stress out your adrenals. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. And I'm finding new routes around my neighborhood and, I could try this and try that. And next thing I know, I've walked 4 miles, right? So those are the 2 things I changed. And when I changed them, man, the weight just started coming back off. So that's what worked for me, but I had to try. It was very frustrating because I was like, I'm tracking, I'm lifting, and the weight's just not, budging. But yeah, in the last 2.5 weeks, I've taken, 7 pounds of that back off. So I feel like for my body, I'm kind of going in the right direction, and I'm super happy because I don't have to restrict food. I just have to choose the cuts that are a little bit leaner, and then I can still, eat that volume that makes me feel satiated and happy and not like I leave the table still wanting more food. So I would suggest that I don't know what he's going to have to try, but it sounds like he hasn't really tried switching anything up to see if he can get his body composition to change. So those are my thoughts.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of that summarizes what I have written down too here is I'm all for giving things a good shot, I think on the one hand, sometimes we don't give things long enough to see if they're going to work. And in this case, it sounds a lot like, he's been doing the same thing and not getting the results he wants. So time to change it up. And we have a little singer in the background, if anyone can hear that, singing about bubbles. So let's go over to Cammie next. Give us your thoughts, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Nia, I think that when your child comes into the room is one of my favorite things because I don't have that soundtrack in my life anymore and I miss it. And you will miss it so much when it's gone. But so it's beautiful to hear that. I was just going to say maybe the language barrier. There's not as many videos about carnivore in his native language, but it seems like his basic approach to carnivore is that it's this short-term thing. And is it even safe to continue long-term? So I feel like his understanding of the purpose and the goals of the carnivore diet is maybe not the same as mine. I don't think there's any problem just continuing on if you're not in pain and you're doing great, just keep on going at the weight that you're at. But if he's only eating 16 to 17 ounces, I eat like 2 pounds of meat a day and I'm losing weight. So I don't know, maybe he should try eating more, like Christy was saying, just trying some different things. That would be my input on his question.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I've been tracking every day what I've been eating, and I'm right around that, but I'm eating higher fat because I kind of put in some estimated metrics or numbers into Chronometer just to see like what's his potential fat percentage to protein ratio, and it's it's a little bit more than what I'm eating, but I get comments all the time when I post my food that's like, you're not eating enough, you need more fat. And so yeah, I can totally see eating more being a thing too, because this is so much of this is a reversal of every mindset that we've had about nutrition, right? It's like, oh, in order to lose weight, you have to extremely caloric restrict. I mean, there is still something to being in a deficit, if you want to lose weight, but that's not always the case. I mean, we can oftentimes eat so much more than what we think we can and still make that happen. So yeah, that's great. Okay, we'll go down to Laura next.
My name is Laura. My channel is Healthy Carnivore. What I could say is when I first switched to carnivore, I had been keto for 28 years. And in the first 2 months, I gained 10 pounds. And I had to really talk to myself like, stay with this, don't give up, like you're healing. And you know that that's going to pull on fluid and stuff like that as you heal. So over almost 5 years, I'll be 5 years carnivore in June. I have had several times where I either had weight stalls or anxiety, depression wasn't getting better, cystic acne wasn't, joint pain. Trying to think of some of the things that I've resolved. It's been so long now. I'm like, what did I used to have? I need to keep a sheet of paper for all the things. But I changed it up constantly. Kelly Hogan is somebody I watch religiously. And I'm like, yeah, let's try more fat. And I do that for a while, and that kind of busts through, and help my hormones. It would help me get through. And then now I'm actually where I'm eating more protein and I'm doing a little bit less fat. But and I don't do any of the measuring or meters or anything like that. I just kind of follow how I feel that day and what I feel like I need to eat. And that has seemed to help. I just think, he may need to do lion for a while and get off of even eggs. I found that I could not do egg whites. It causes histamine release for me, and some joint pain, things like that. So once I cut that out, once in a while I'll do egg yolks with something, but I really stick to the ruminant meats, and I found that that's helped. But I think if you're doing something and it's not working like everybody else, you got to change it up, And I've always been somebody that likes to, well, since I was 39, I've liked to work out, lift weights, do stuff like that. So, especially for a man, I think if you want more muscle, I feel like you have to do more protein and you got to lift heavier. And I think I would try something for about 4, 5, 6 weeks. If that doesn't work, change it up and go to something else. So, that's what I would recommend from what I've done as to what I would see. But as I'm not a guy either, so that's what's worked for me. But we'll see what Larry says.
Yeah, and I'm glad we have one gentleman on here tonight to at least come from the male perspective, because it is. I mean, it's so different between men and women, and so hormonally and all kinds of things and backgrounds, and so yeah, and I appreciate you, Laura, too, because you have such a long, a previous history of doing keto for so long. And so that's just a testament too that this is a journey, and you're going to hit points even a few years down the road where it's like, hey, what's going on, and we don't always know exactly what our body needs to heal from. And so just trusting that process and changing it up. Yeah, that's great. Okay, Larry, go for it. You're muted.
Okay. So reading this, I have a few thoughts, and I'm a retired soldier. I'm be 58 in May. Uh, I'm 6'3". I'm 233 pounds, and I'm lifting like I was in college again. And I was an athlete in college, so I was an athlete most of my life, except for the last probably the last 6 or 7 years where I couldn't run anymore from injuries and all these things piled up. But now I'm in the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week. I'm running sprints, and I'm up from doing 4 sprints now to 6 sprints a day, and doing farmer carries, doing a lot of great bodybuilding stuff. And I mean, I'm just seeing, that's huge. I'm just getting my waistlines back like it was. So I'm getting results, and I can tell you, some of the things I see in this, I see he's eating meat. It doesn't say what kind of meat. That could be chicken. That could be chicken breast, which is a huge mistake. A lot of people try to go lean, especially when they're starting out. Lean meats. I think the logic is, well, if I eat lean meats, I'm going to burn my own fat, right? Because I'm becoming a fat adapted person. That's a mistake. That's wrong. Your body will hold on to those fat reserves thinking that, oh, I'm not getting enough fat, so I need to hold this fat in my system because that's my emergency reserve, right? Once you start eating the fats, then your body will release that. Another thing I saw, he said he lost mostly water weight and he was completely healthy. Well, if you lost that much water weight, even if it was just water weight, then you were seriously inflamed. You were not healthy at all. You were sick. This is a symptom. And when you lose that water weight, that's inflammation leaving your body. Inflammation causes all kinds of problems. You may have not felt them or been aware or cognizant of your issues, but you had issues. Trust me. So you were getting healthy and you are getting healthy. Your gut has transformed over. You're over 110 days. So I'd say you're fully fat adapted. You may be eating too much protein. You may not be eating enough. You may not be getting enough fat. That's my guess, but I don't have enough information here to make that kind of decision. Also, when I lift, days that I lift, I eat more. And I eat till satiety, and I eat when I'm hungry. So on a day that I lift, I might eat 6 hamburger patties. And well, I was eating a dozen eggs a day. I've gone lion, so I've made changes too. And I want to share this too. When my first year of carnivore, after I hit about 90 to 100 days, I stalled out. I went from 280 pounds. I'm 6'3". I was overweight, down to 250-ish, and I stalled out weight wise. My waist still got a little smaller. So what I did, I thought, well, I'm going to kick it in the butt. And I went lion diet for 30 days. And that lion diet, I lost 13 pounds immediately when I switched over to ruminant animals, fatty meats. And I did not go lean. I went ribeyes. I had burgers. I added butter. It's the only thing that was not lion. By doing that, I lost 13 pounds the first 2 weeks. And I wasn't even hitting the gym yet. Right. So now I've added the gym back in. I'm getting great gains, but I really want to lean up. So I'm leaning up, but I want to get my 6-pack abs. That's what I want to get. I want to get like I was in college. My goal is to be in the best shape of my life when I'm 60. That's my goal. I'll be 58 in a couple days. If I hit it early, oh well, that's great. So so I'm going lion to shred some of this fat off, and I'm still eating lots of fat. I'm eating really fatty meats, burger patties. I get a pound of burger. I mean, I'm eating tons of fat. So my guess is you're not eating enough fat. That's my guess. And you're also eating in this construct where you're eating 2 meals a day. And, that's fine as long as you're hungry during those 2 meals. I don't even do that. I just eat when I'm hungry. And I eat, the whole meals per day thing, planning it out to me is a completely artificial construct. You need to listen to your body. You need to learn how to listen to your body. You're 135 days in. That means you've converted your gut biome. You're probably on the right track. All you need to do, like we're saying here, is just tweak it. I personally would eat a lot of ground beef. I would salt it, and that's just what I would do. And I'd add butter probably, and then steaks, whatever you can afford. Now, the other thing is you're probably saving a lot of money compared to your standard American diet. If you're just eating that daily, which is 500 grams of cooked meat plus 8 eggs a day, that's cheap. That's a cheap way to live. So you're saving a lot of money. Definitely do that. If you're doing protein shakes, cut them out. You don't need to be doing any protein shakes. If you need protein, eat meat. and your body will tell you when you're done eating that. So I'm, like I said, I'm in the gym. The other thing is, if you're in the gym, do a lot of whole body exercises, do deadlifts, do squats, do farmer carries. Farmer carries, if you don't know what that is, that's holding a heavy weight in each hand and walking and upright, keeping your good posture. And, you know, you can find YouTube videos on it. That's a full body that engages every aspect of your body at once. It'll increase your testosterone, just like deadlifts do, just like squats do. Anything that's going to recruit a lot of muscles at once is going to change. You want to change your body shape. You want to get shredded. That's what you do. So my opinion. And don't waste your time on cardio. Do sprints. I do the sprints, and I can tell you right now, my butt has never been harder than it is right now. My butt is hard right now. My legs are hard. It feels great. I feel so athletic doing these sprints. I can't talk enough about them in a positive way to emphasize. You need to be doing sprints and full body exercises implemented with your regular routine. That's what I would say. So I think that's pretty much what I get out of this. You know, and as far as like how long you should be able to do it, I'm going to do this for life. There's no reason not to. It is the proper human diet. You can research that. There's no reason not to. At least whole foods. If you want to implement some vegetables back in, I do, or I have had some vegetables from time to time. Really rare, you know, but I've had jalapeno poppers with brisket and cheese in them. I've eaten a couple of those, but it's not something I implement in my daily or even weekly diet at all. So, you know, I'm not saying you can't do that. Once you get your body dialed in on your N=1 experience, and you become the subject matter expert of your body, which I have no idea what it is. I know mine is. I'm getting mine down pretty good. Then you can do little experiments like that too, and say, well, you know, I'm gonna have some coffee today to see what happens, or I'm gonna do this. And you know, if you like it, do it. Just you're your own boss. No one's telling you what to do. But I think if you want the best results, definitely you've got the framework laid in. Now you need to start tweaking your thing in an intelligent way, like in you know, you need to actually think about it, be thoughtful, and then tweak your thing. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think those were all great comments, because this is that kind of brings me to the first point that I had written down, which answers kind of the first and second questions that this person had. Like, how long should I continue this when it's not working for me? And, you know, what's the minimum amount of time that you should give this before, you know, you conclude that it's not working? And to me, it's like, well, what's the alternative? Like, where, you know, what are you going to go back to? Just adding more carbs in, or going back to plant-based, or, you know, like where did you come from? Obviously that wasn't working. And for however long you tried that.
And he said he put on a few pounds. That
right.
2.5
and
pounds he put on could be bone density, could be muscle mass.
It could be muscle.
But 2.5 pounds is too small to even worry about. That could be he didn't poop today. All right. So, I mean, it's not like you don't worry about 2.5 pounds, right? If I put on 12.5 pounds, I'd be like, okay, this is something to be concerned with. 2.5 pounds, he didn't drink enough water and he didn't poop. Okay, whatever. You know, that could be. So it's really hard to say.
Right. And I guess, yeah, that's kind of the thing where it sounds like, you know, he's keeping a very close eye on all of these metrics, which again, I'm doing right now just because I'm trying to solve for a couple of variables, you know, like, is it certain food items that are triggering my skin and inflammation and gut issues? Or is it an environmental thing that I need to look at, like mold or stress? Is it more along those lines? And so I totally get kind of like keeping track of all this stuff. But I think you can, on the flip side of that, you can kind of miss the big picture by being so narrowly focused in on like how much you weigh every single day. And, you know, with that 2.5 pounds, and that was kind of my other question. It's like, well, if you've been consistently lifting 2 to 3 times a week for, I'm assuming like this whole 4.5 months, like, what's been the progress there? Do you feel like you're getting stronger? Have you been able to increase your load? Are you doing more reps? Like, what are you getting faster, stronger, more agile? Like, are you seeing any benefits there? How's your endurance? How is your stamina when it comes to your workouts? Because those are all other things to pay attention to. Like, there's plenty of other biomarkers to look at. And I know he did mention like he's not been experiencing some of the benefits like sleep and I forgot what the other one specifically was, energy maybe. But so that leads me to the point where I almost felt like 6 or 7 months in, like maybe I'm not fat adapted. And that's a real possibility if for his particular physiology, he's eating too much protein. So I kind of plugged in some numbers, being generous with the fat, like say he's eating 14 to 17 ounces of ribeye steak every day with the fat and 7 to 8 eggs, that's still only a 57-42 ratio, 57% fat, which is not that high. And so, you know, that could be part of it too. It's like maybe he's not experiencing some of these benefits because, you know, the fat's not high enough. And I know for some people, they need to go on the leaner side. So again, this is why you experiment a little bit. You say, okay, it's been a month, it's been 60 days of doing this pattern and it's not producing anything noticeable. So let me try upping the fat for 30 days or 60 days and see how that, you know, affects you. So that's kind of the questions I had. It's like, well, what's the alternative? I mean, what would you, if you're going to conclude at about 5 months that this isn't working, like, then what? You know, what are you going to choose to add back in and why? Because to me, I don't see how that would be anything more helpful than just going through this elimination process and tweaking this and seeing if it can, you know, get you the results that you want. And you can always add foods back in later. Like I don't, you know, argue with anybody who wants to do that if you feel fine on those foods and they don't trigger you. But I think if you search out some people, and I wrote down like, you know, if he hasn't seen Dr. Baker's channel, go watch Dr. Baker. He's very, you know, super into athletics, lifts every, you know, works out every day. And he talks about how he can change his body composition. He can drop 20, 30 pounds. I think I just saw his last video about him I think he's like 240 or something like that, and wants to drop it because he wants to start sprinting and like get fast. And so he's like, I'm going to have to drop 20, 30 pounds probably in order to do that. And so there's a perfect example of somebody who's like, okay, let me just manipulate my macros, maybe manipulate your meal timing. 1 meal a day would be another thing to try. If you're on 2MAD right now and you know, you've been doing that, like eat the same amount, but just put it in 1 meal and see if that triggers something. And so there's all kinds of different things to try. And another person, you know, is Richard Smith. His channel is called Keto Pro. He's been on Dr. Chafee's podcast quite a few times. And he's an athlete too, that trains other athletes who are keto and carnivore fueled by fat, running on fat. And so if you're into athletics and you're wanting more, you know, perspective on that, there's lots of examples of people, to answer the third question, you know, that are examples of people that are, you know, quote unquote healthy, not coming to this for autoimmune or severe issues of any kind, just wanting to get in better shape. There's plenty of examples out there, I think. So it just takes a little bit of digging. And that's why we have discussions like this too, because you can see in the chat, there's going to be people talking about their results. All of us are on different places in our journey, and we're sharing all those details too. So good luck to you, user bunch of numbers and letters. I don't know what your real name is, but you know, because I understand the frustration. Trust me, I do. When you feel like you've had 30, 45, 60 days where you feel great, and then all of a sudden it's like, why am I feeling like I'm inflamed again, or I'm taking a couple steps back? And it's just learning how to actually listen to your body. And I think this is something that is said so often, but the meaning of it still eludes us sometimes, you know, like what are you actually craving today? And a lot of times the trends and the fads and all the other things that people say online can get you stuck in this kind of paradigm, even within the carnivore space, right? Where maybe, you know, he's thinking like, well, I'm supposed to eat lean, right? If I want to lose weight, maybe he heard someone say that and now is just thinking like, that's the only way to do this. And so it's just about really learning how to tune into your individual body and what your individual body is telling you. And changes and lack of changes are all signals that are coming from your body. And so that's the journey we're all on, you know, is just figuring out what to do next. And so to take it to the next level. So does anyone have any final comments before we've got a few questions and things I wanted to throw up? Go ahead, Christy.
Yeah, so I saw Cami post that Coach Bronson would be another good person, and I would just want to second that. And he's gone live, and he probably has a bunch more because he just came out with a book. So if you can catch Coach Bronson on one of these channels where he's doing all these lives, he will answer your question. And even he does like group coaching and things like that, if that's something that you're into. But he's definitely like an expert. He can help you with macros and also workouts and all that stuff. So he would be another great resource.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to add that if he wants to contact me directly, he can. It's carnivoresoldier@gmail.com. And I'd be glad to get more information to make a better advice based on his information if he wants.
Cool. Awesome. And I think I forgot to link all of you in last week's show notes, so I won't forget this week. So they can click on all of your channels. Okay. So we had a question pop in early before we even went live today from Janet. And I don't know the answer to this, but we'll see. I know, Laura, you've got a medical background. So Janet says she's 75-year-old female, 5'3", 187, down 70 pounds, keto carnivore, 18 months, A1C 5.6, glucose 93, fasting insulin 8.9, HOMA IR 1.8, HDL, triglycerides, LDL. Okay. And then part 2 of the question is how to mitigate side effects of prednisolone eye drops due to multiple eye surgeries. I've been on a 10-month stall despite being carnivore 18 months. So I had to pop up, look up what those are exactly. I mean, I'm assuming it's a steroid of some kind, right? But
it is.
Well, before she answers that question, I just want to point out that she's saying she lost 70 pounds in 8 months. That's insane. Yeah. She should be celebrating that.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Plus, I think her labs look, I don't know where her labs started, but they look well. I will tell you, it is something that you are going to have to constantly tweak and change what you're doing because of any type of corticosteroid or steroid that you're taking, whether you're doing like I do an inhaler that is a corticosteroid that I've taken for 20 years, and I just take it once a day instead of twice a day, but it does affect how you lose weight. So even the eye drops are going to get into your entire system. So it is something that you may have to tweak, go very, like lion diet, and maybe do it for like 3 weeks and then go back to doing, other meats, add in. You may just have to change it up if there's a little bit more weight that you want to lose. But looking at your numbers, I think those look really pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, just from my partial limited knowledge of what those mean, I thought like that seems pretty good, and you're 75. That's so, like, I love seeing comments like this. I get these comments all the time. I'm 60, I'm 65, I'm 72, I'm 80, and I started this way of eating. Like, I just want to commend you because that takes such courage, right? To literally change everything after so many decades of doing it the way that didn't work, and so to have the fortitude to actually change that at that point is so commendable, I think. And you're seeing progress, right? And that's kind of the theme today, is like it's good. And I'm a numbers person. I like to look at that stuff, but I have to zoom out sometimes when I get kind of too into it and being like, why isn't my skin perfect? And why am I tired today? Like, I was kind of tired today. And I'm just like, I wish I had more energy I'm still unpacking and building furniture and all this stuff. And it's like, man, I wanted to get so much more done, but I've just had to be like, okay, on the days that I feel like this, like my body's telling me I just need to chill out a little bit more, and I have to listen to that. And so, yeah, I think with these specifically, I could, if I was just to speculate, I would assume that over time, the longer you do this, the more your body heals, the more your eyes are going to heal, and you might not need these. But that's just my completely uneducated opinion. And so, you know, just like people get off all kinds of other medications, perhaps you'll be able to wean off this and not need them anymore. So, anyone else have a comment? Well, good luck to you, Janet. Thank you for your question. If anyone else has a question, I didn't see any more, but I thought there were some good comments too that we can throw up here, or we can look at some of the comments from the post, because there were some like weight loss stalls and things like that talked about in there. But RV there yet says, I lost 0 weight the first couple of years eating this way. Then lost 35 of the 50 I'd like to drop in about 6 months. Now it's been another 6 months and I'm stuck at 160. Time for me to switch something up again too. Yeah, see, there's some patience right there, right? First couple years it took for your body to feel comfortable, you know, like it's okay to let go of this. So that's awesome.
Nia, there's a question at 4:30 my time. I think that's 6:30 for you, from Alexander.
Scroll down here.
And there were a couple more too, but they didn't put QQQ, but I can find them for you and tell you the timestamps after we do Alexander's question, if you'd like.
Okay. I'm not seeing, you say 4:30?
4:30 my time. I think that would be 6:30
Okay,
for you. It's Alexander Villalobos.
Yeah, I do not see that. I don't know why.
I can read it, even though you won't be able to pop it up.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
If
He says, should
there it is.
There you go. Yeah. You got it.
Got it.
That's it.
You can read it if you want.
Okay, awesome. Should free-range grass-fed beef and organ meats be prioritized over the regular options? Bobby Price and others say it's the best route. Antibiotics, GMO grain-fed animals not in best conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it depends on where you're at in your journey. I think if you're autoimmune stuff like me, gut stuff like me, I mean, I don't eat grass-fed, grass-finished stuff all the time right now, but it's something I've been debating about, you know, getting into, because I think it does matter. You know, the further down the rabbit hole you are with the gut health and autoimmune stuff. But in my opinion, that's probably the only reason why I think it would be required for a certain amount of time. But what do y'all think?
So I don't have any autoimmune things. That's what I'm going to start off by saying, or at least not that I know of. But I did decide a while back that for my pork and chicken, because I still do eat pork and chicken, I'm only going to buy pasture raised pork and chicken, as well as my eggs. They're pasture raised eggs. I just think that that's important, because chickens and pigs are not ruminant animals. So they don't have any filter on what they're doing. And so I pay a little bit more, but honestly, I don't eat a lot of pork and chicken. It might be once every couple of weeks, just for some variety. And so, you know, I just feel better about doing that. For my beef, right now, all I've eaten up to this point is just what I can get at the grocery store. I got all excited because I have a half of a cow on order from a local regenerative farm. But I went to one of their meat pickup dates, because you can just go every couple of weeks and like pick up meat. And I picked up like a grass-fed, grass-finished box, and I didn't like it. It tasted like grass to me. And I'm like, I'm not spending whatever half a cow costs, a few $1,000s, whatever it is, a couple $1,000s, I don't know. You know, on something that I just really don't like the taste of. And I don't think it's that important to my health. So what I did, and what I feel good about, and I think what I'm going to continue to do after I taste this meat, but I switched my order, which put it off by another month, you guys. So I'm going to get it in June instead of May. But anyway, it's still from the same ranch, right? So they're still doing everything in a regenerative way, but they do offer grain finished beef. And so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to feel fine about it. So when my half cow comes, it will be grass-fed, grain finished, but it's still from that regenerative ranch, you know, a local farmer. I'm still helping the local economy, and all of those good things will happen. And for me, I don't think it's going to make, you know, because I don't have autoimmune things and all of that, or histamine or any of that. I think I'm going to be good to go with that. And feel good about my choice. So that's what I'm doing.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. I actually did that for a while. I did 6 months of the grass-fed, grass-finished, local to where I live. And I did not really care for the taste. I didn't enjoy the fat on like the ribeyes. I save ribeye fat and use it to make tallow products. I didn't like the smell. It was hard for me to, like, when I was making products, I don't like to make them real strong, like with essential oils scented, but it was like I couldn't get past, I couldn't get that grass smell out of it. And so I didn't feel like I didn't feel any better doing that for 6 months. I didn't have any changes. I don't have any autoimmune disorders either, but I didn't see a difference and it didn't taste as good to me. And so like you said, it literally, I was like, I could just see myself out chewing on grass. That's exactly what the fat tasted like. And I was like, I don't care how many more vitamins I'm getting. It wasn't worth it. So
Yeah, it
I
tastes
just
like
went
wet
back.
grass smell, like how wet grass smells. That's what it
Yes.
tastes like to me. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. I didn't like it. And so I finished it up because I'm not going to waste anything because I'm frugal or cheap or whatever. But I definitely went back to the other, and it's grass fed, grain finished, and I prefer that for myself.
Yeah. I'll add on to that. So really, Christy, are you paying $2,000 for half a cow
I,
in
I
California?
honestly, I'm sure it's about that. I don't know because I
Holy
don't know how
cow.
much my cow weighs. I know that it's going to be, what did she tell me?
Is that processed though? That's after
Yeah,
process.
after processing.
Okay.
So it's
All
like
right. All right. That's
it's
not hanging weight.
$2.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
almost $3 a pound. It's almost $3 a pound, but that does not include the butcher fee. Then you got to pay the butcher and whatever. So
That's still
when
a
I
lot.
get the cow, I will let you know, because they have to, process your particular cow, and then it depends
Yeah.
on how many pounds your cow is. I'm splitting it with my mom and brother, but yeah, I don't have the exact cost. I just know how much it's going to be per pound. I don't know how many pounds my particular cow is going to be. But yeah, it's going to be around that.
I'm thankful that I don't have issues like Michaela Peterson does, where I have to have grass fed, and that's a nice option to have. And some people may need that medically, which is fine. That's part of your N equals 1 experience. You can try it. I don't like it. I've had it. It costs more. It doesn't taste as good to me. And to be honest, if you get steaks in Costco, they are grass fed and then grain finished. They are grass fed. You're still getting grass fed cows. They're just finishing with grain to get them fat, because we know that grains make people fat and make any animal fat. They have fattening charts. They actually have these charts. They know how much to feed a goose or a pig or a cow to get them to the right weight so they get the most money out of them, right? And that marbling fat, that adipose tissue that's so bad for you in a human, tastes so good in a cow. And I guarantee you, yeah, I will not buy grass fed unless I mean, every now and then I might, but it's rare. I don't do it for me at all, because I don't need it, and I'm getting fantastic results off grass fed, grain finished beef. But like I said, I recognize there are people that need that can't have beef that has any grains in it at all. Because so really the whole idea on ruminant animals, that triple chambered stomach, is getting rid of all that all or most of the poisons that are in that linoleic acid and such, and all the omega-6 that's in the grains, right? So it's cleaning it up for you. And that is exactly how you make plant-based meat, is you give plants to a triple stomach animal, and it makes the best meat you can think of. So yeah, I just like you guys, I prefer grain fed, grain finished. So
Okay, we've got another question. Llama Lady says, I'm on day 41 and began lying 3 days ago. I still struggle with fatigue and inflammation. How can we tell if it's histamine or oxalate dumping issue? Well, I could talk about this, but anyone want to go first? Because I'm long-winded.
Well, histamines, like the people I work with and myself, histamine reactions that I generally had were like sinusy, like you're filling up into the sinuses, kind of like an allergic reaction is what I got. Skin rashes, issues like that. Oxalate dumping, when I had that, I felt like I'd been poisoned. It wasn't just a little, it seriously felt like I had been poisoned, and I hurt from my hair down. I mean, it was definitely noticeable. Um, I would say what I have found as being a woman is that we're so afraid of fat that I don't think a lot of times we're getting enough fat. And if you have fatigue, I have found that working with people that have fatigue, trouble sleeping, hormonal trouble, is if they up their fat, and it doesn't have to be that way forever, but if you just bump up your fat and try that and see how that helps. But if it is the histamine or oxalate, if you're doing lion and you're cutting out everything but ruminant meat, no eggs, no dairy, any of that, it will take time, but you will feel that. And I would increase your water intake to kind of help flush those things out, is what I would do.
Yeah, I can second all of that. I think I I was not eating enough fat this entire time. I'll make you some when I'm done. Okay, in like 15 minutes. I made her these carnivore pancakes today, but I put cocoa powder in them, so she got chocolate pancakes. It's just like egg, pork rind crumbs, and butter, and she loves them. I'm so happy. But yeah, so I wasn't tracking before then. So then when I tried to, I thought like maybe I'm not fat adapted because I'm still so tired and I'm not getting the energy. And so I cut out coffee. So that's the first thing I would look at, is sometimes even drinking caffeine is like inhibiting your body's ability to produce enough energy on its own. And I was drinking like a ton of coffee just to survive. And then I got to this point where my hormones just bottomed out and crashed, and I like couldn't get off the couch even with drinking a bunch of caffeine. So that's when I started the carnivore diet again. I was kind of on it and off it for months in the spring and stuff, but then I finally went full in. Anyway, so yeah, I definitely found that increasing my fat helped a lot, and electrolytes, and like Laura was saying, water. I am thirsty. I did almost 30 days lion again, but then I was really, really craving eggs, and I have not craved eggs at all since I've been carnivore this entire time. And so I thought I should probably listen to that, but I didn't want to add the whites in because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I feel like I have some histamine stuff sometimes, and I think I'm experiencing the oxalate more than anything. So I don't get like the watery eye, itchy, stuffed up nose feeling like I'm having an allergic reaction in my face, but I do get like my eyes are burning, and I know that's can be a symptom of oxalates. My psoriasis has, like, unfortunately overall gotten worse. It, like, I'll get a spot and it goes away, but it's immediately replaced by one, and the spot on my knee that's been with me almost 2 years now has gotten bigger, and then it will almost completely recede. So I'll get like this cyclical thing where it's like my skin flares up, my gut, I have problems there at the same time, and I get really tired. And so that's, to me, that those are all symptoms that are more indicative of the oxalate thing. It's like cyclical, and it's just, I don't really change anything else, but it's just like all of a sudden I feel like crap for 3, 4, 5 days, and then I have to take it easy and kind of then get back to it. So, back to it energy wise. So it kind of, like, I think, yeah, there is a kind of a distinction between the symptoms that you can use to try to figure that out. But I think, if you haven't read Sally Norton's book yet, Toxic Superfoods, that's a great book just to get like all the information about oxalates. Elliot Overton is another person on YouTube. I've listened to a lot of his lectures about oxalates. And then it's funny, I just listened to Steak and Butter Gal's video about histamines again today or yesterday. And she gives her account, just she got hives all over her body for a period, like had all over her face when she would eat certain things. And so that's a good video to check out if you want like a deeper dive into like, okay, what to not eat. But really with histamine stuff, it's like the ground meats and things, you would probably want to try eliminating those and see if that helps, or anything aged. And that makes it kind of hard. But I've cut out ground beef, which I love. I actually prefer it to steak. So that actually really sucks for me. And I like making ground beef jerky and, all that. But I thought, okay, let me try that and just see if anything improves. And then that might be an indicator that it's histamines. But for me, I think I'm definitely leaning more towards oxalates because of the skin flare-ups. And if you have more than one body system, elimination system in your body flaring up cyclically at the same time, I feel like that's a consensus I've heard too that points more to oxalate issues. So like for me, it's my gut and my skin, and then that's followed by my, mood, sort of mental health and sleep. But I've been sleeping like a baby, you guys. So that's good at least. But I would, when you said drink more water too, that made me think, because I'm like, I am drinking so much more water and more electrolytes than I've ever drank this entire time. And I'm in month 9. And so, I drink like 2, sometimes 3 servings of my homemade electrolytes, which is like 3 element packets. And probably I have this 40 ouncer here that I probably fill like 4 to 5 times a day. So, I mean, I go to the bathroom, like I urinate a lot. Like I just feel like I'm just like eliminating something. And so I'm just trying to follow my body's cues. Like if I'm thirsty, I'm just going to keep drink with electrolytes so that I'm not, getting dehydrated. And trying to follow my cravings. But I feel that is one of the most disheartening things when you do this and you start to feel really great. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, like I feel like crap, for a week or something. What is going on? But thankfully there's a lot of information out there now, people that are very knowledgeable talking about this too. So yeah, and my last comment, sorry, I'm talking so much, but when I go lion, my stuff gets worse. Like it's been worse now, or the flare-ups are more significant than when I was eating more carnivore foods. And so for me, that feels like, it's just like I'm clearing heavier the cleaner I get, which is kind of hard to deal with, but I'm sticking that out because I really want to get better. And so I'm like, let's just do the beef. I'm adding egg yolks. I'm just beef and egg yolks and salt and water. So anyway, that's my story. Anyone else? So long-winded today.
One of your other comments on the poll was talking about, they said they wanted to do a detox to help their stall. And I think what I've heard from the doctors is that our bodies do detoxing and that we don't need to do a specific detox, that a carnivore diet done properly is a detox diet. Like we're detoxing the lectins, we're detoxing the oxalates. And if you include your iodine and your selenium and your salt, then you're detoxing the fluoride and the bromines, and just do the carnivore diet. Stop putting the toxins in, eat the carnivore diet, and provide the proper support for your body, and your body will detox exactly the way it's meant to do.
I agree. And I think talking supplements is going to be the topic for next week. Spoiler alert. Because I think like I've started, like I take iodine and I take vitamin D, and I also get out in the sun because I think, especially for my skin, that's been a huge factor. Like I think I've probably been chronically low in vitamin D forever, probably. But our next question is about supplements, and things to optimize. And I think this kind of goes hand in hand as like a follow-up to kind of what we're talking about today, which is tweaking things. And sometimes, is there a need for supplementation if you're coming from severe deficiencies, or you're quite sick, or come from a really trashy diet in the past. So we can touch on this, but I will tell you, Laura, to tune in next week, because that's going to be the topic for next week is supplements on this wave eating. But would anyone like to touch on it briefly here? I know we're right at the hour, so.
Yeah, I can say it kind of depends. I've had people that I work with that they're like, all they have to do is extra like salt. They have to do like the Redmonds or the Celtic salt. And even I have somebody who's like, I don't even really require that anymore. And I'm like, good for you. But I think everybody's different. I do the iodine. Excuse me. It's something I've done for quite a while. I've done selenium more during like the COVID. I did selenium, NAC, and things like that just to kind of not get sick. Um, but I do the K2D3 because I had osteoporosis and I no longer have that. I'm actually all the way on the other side of that. So I think you just have to look at what your body's telling you and then look to see what is something that you might be able to add in. You might be able to do most of it through the diet, but if you're not getting that stuff, then I see no reason why not to go out there and supplement. I do a lot of Redmond's Real Salt. I have like 50-pound bags in this room here. Like I love Redmond salt. So that's probably my biggest supplement that I actually do other than the iodine for myself.
Yeah, I can second that. I just do salt, and I do iodine every now and then, just when I think about it, which is probably every couple weeks. No big deal. I figure it can't hurt, and I don't eat enough seafood. I know that, so that's where I need to get it from. But other than that, I don't do. I used to do magnesium because I get cramps every now and then, but I have not gotten a cramp in 6 months, a leg cramp or anything. So my body is adjusted, and I'm working out. I mean, I'm. The other thing is being on this diet, I don't sweat like I used to. I go to the gym and I put in a hard workout. I barely sweat. Y'all get a little bit like a dampness here, just a little bit. I used to sweat like, it's terrible. I mean, like a pig. I sweat so bad at a drop of a hat. Now I'm running sprints and I barely sweat. It's awesome.
It's funny you say that because that's our probably final question for this evening. I'm sweating a lot. Rory says, day and night since I started carnivore. Is this normal? My body feels warm. I have not had this happen, so I don't know.
I mean, in the beginning, your body's gonna go through a lot of changes. So when you're losing that inflammation, that could be it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but who's to say what's normal? Everyone's body's different.
So I don't sweat day and night, but I run a lot warmer, which to me is a blessing because I always used to be freezing. Like freezing, no matter what, I'm freezing. And then, my husband runs warm, so he's always turning on the air conditioner. And then I'm always like, but yeah, it's a lot different now. I don't feel cold unless it's legitimately cold and not like, oh, it's 78 degrees and I'm cold, So I will say that I do run warmer, but for me, it's a plus, not a minus.
Okay, we got music in the background here, but yeah, I haven't had any experience with that, and I've never really been. I would just say like I've been so sensitive to extreme temperatures in general. Like if it's really cold or really hot and humid, I'm like I can't tolerate being outside. And I noticed that gets better. Like the first time I was on this diet, I felt like that was a weird thing I never noticed was wrong that got better. And I now live in a hot, humid climate again, so we'll see how this summer goes. But I also have always had trouble sweating. Like I could even during exercise, it's like I just like can't sweat, So maybe I'll be paying attention to that now. Like, do I get sweatier? Can I sweat more? But sweating's a great way to release stuff, That's why sauna has so many benefits because you can, and I was just reading the other day, you can literally sweat out oxalates, and that's why they recommend that. And then like go take a cold shower, like hot cold therapy for, doing that is beneficial too. So who knows? Maybe that's just how your body is releasing stuff. Did anyone see any more questions? Or I know we're past the time, so I don't want to keep y'all if you need to go.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go make dinner for my son. I got my son this weekend, so going to cook some dinner.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Nice meeting you and being with you again. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Okay, then there were 4. Anybody have any? I got lost in the chat here tonight, so I apologize. I'm trying to go back through and see like if there's anything question-wise.
Looking at this colostrum, I don't know. And this is my nursing thing background. I don't understand, and maybe somebody will know the answer to this. I don't understand this colostrum thing that everybody's kind of been bringing up, because there's only really one time in your life that you need that, and it needs to be from your mother, and the cow needs it from their mom, and the sheep need it from. I don't know what that has in it. It doesn't have stem cells, so I'm not sure, and it's like extremely highly fat. I guess if they're thinking that maybe the higher fat's going to help them, but preferably I don't want to drink another animal or human's colostrum. I'd rather get that in beef fat. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't see a good reason why I would ever take that, but maybe there's something or somebody out there that knows that it's great. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know what you're talking about. I've seen people talking about it. It didn't seem like anything, I haven't even researched into it because I thought the same thing as you. Like, you get that when you're first born, and I
Yeah.
just didn't see why anyone would need it any other time. But like you, I'm like, I don't really know, but I don't feel like I'm missing
Yeah.
something, and maybe that would be the answer. So I just haven't looked into it.
Yeah, I've just heard it talked about in the context of healing leaky gut and things like that. And so I think the idea is that if you take that, it helps somehow to like close the juncture, or like rebuild up the gut lining, because that's something that would have happened. Ideally when you were born, like very young, your gut lining would have been, I guess, built up in some form. It's also something I heard about people saying, like doing a raw milk fast has a similar benefit to it. Like, because when I was trying to add in raw dairy, I thought, oh, maybe I just need to do that, and like really that will heal my gut. And then, I could tolerate more things or not have these skin flare ups and stuff like that. Because it's, the psoriasis, all the skin stuff is directly related to the gut health. We got a pillow fight going on in here. So yeah, I've definitely heard about colostrum too. I have never personally taken it. But yeah, keep us posted if it does anything good for you. Yeah, lots of people talking about
Sorry.
histamines. Gotta find fresher meat.
At 502, Trudy D has a question. I don't know the answer, but, or I'm sorry, right before that, 502, be kind about a sebaceous cyst. I thought since Laura has nursing experience, she might know the answer. And then right after that, there's a question about iodine. And I know Cammie down there is the iodine lady. I take it too.
Okay, let me see if I can find. So that'd be 7:02 my time.
Yeah, 7:02 your time. Be kind about the sebaceous cyst.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. I had a sebaceous cyst removed from my thumb 18 months ago. Not just drained. Okay. About 3 days after starting carnivore, it's starting to come back in almost the same spot. Could it be oxalates?
Whether it could be oxalates, it could be that you have an area of injury, and as you are healing, um, those areas that heal, you could get something like that to kind of come back up. I would be surprised if you'll have to have it removed. I think it will. I think it should probably go on its own if you continue, trying to eat carnivore. I haven't heard of anybody having oxalates like dumping that did sebaceous type cyst. So I don't think it would be from that. I think it's more you're cleaning things up. And some people are genetically predispositioned to get sebaceous cysts. You see those run in families. So that's potentially something that it could be as well.
Okay. I've had weird bumps on my body, and I've noticed them only going down. Like, I don't think they were cysts, but I've had this thing on my ankle that's like, I don't know if it was a bite. I never noticed a bite happen, but it's been there for like a couple years. Maybe it was a tick bite. And then I'm like, maybe I just have Lyme's disease. I don't know what's going on. But it was just like this little lump. And it was, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch long, like not very big, but it was kind of hard. Just there for, didn't hurt, wasn't red, didn't bother me, but it was just weird, And I just, like when I was in the shower that day, I was like shaving my leg, and sometimes I would nick it, because it was like right in that spot. And I noticed that when I was shaving, I was like, oh, it's almost gone. Like whatever it was, it's like almost completely flat now. So I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I get this sometimes too. Like it'll just happen out of nowhere. But that's been happening to me since I was very, very, very young kid. I would always that's like with exercise, I will turn like beet red, but I can't sweat, or I never could sweat. It's like I overheat easily. Yeah, Missy's been dropping a lot of good comments too. Yeah, maybe it's cyclical too with the histamines a little bit more. Yeah. Let's see. Well, anyone else see anything interesting you wanted to chat about yet before we sign off for tonight?
I wanted to say something kind of about mindset for tracking. So I've been tracking my weight, and I felt like I've had a 6-month stall. And I just now, right before this, live cast, went and looked at the data and actually broke it down by month and how much I lost each month. And I thought I was in a 6-month stall. I lost 2 pounds a month this whole time. I gained a little bit at Christmas, but other than that, I never went below like a pound a month. And I was looking at the data wrong. I had an expectation, and what I received was different. And I took it as a failure, as a stall, but it really, really was. I'm doing so much better than I thought, but I have like played with everything, and I'm doing better now. And one thing that just occurred to me is, aren't we designed to hold on to our weight in the winter? Like chickens lay less eggs in the winter. Onions won't grow until the daylight hours are at exact same amount. Aren't we designed to live in this natural world? And that maybe we all kind of like hoard our fat every winter, and then at spring we're like, oh, I'm out of my stall, when really it's just we're out of winter. I don't know.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought that. My husband, even though he doesn't do carnivore, he eats just the stuff out of the garden and like deer and stuff that we hunt. But he's one of those that like a month before winter comes, it's like he all of a sudden he's eating more stuff, and he's packing on a few more pounds. And it's like I call him the caveman, because I'm like, oh, you're getting ready, survival of the fittest. And then come springtime, all of a sudden, and I mean, he doesn't even change that much. And then I'm like, you have a freaking 6-pack and you're 62 and you don't even do sit-ups. I'm like, it's not fair. But he really is somebody that kind of follows that. So I do think there's something innate that, when your body knows that the cold's coming, to survive back, our ancestors had to hang on to some of that. So that makes perfect sense as to why we would do that, even though, it's been so long since we've had to survive off of that. And hopefully we never have to do that again. But if we do, we all have food saved in case it happens.
Yeah, Laura and I have lots of canned meat, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I do.
Awesome. Well, Trudy, we're going to talk about this again in more depth next week. We're going to talk about supplementation. I think iodine's definitely something I've seen come up, and I think a lot of us supplement it. So maybe we'll focus on iodine too for part of that. I currently take 5 drops a day of Lugol's 2%, just to kind of throw that out there. But again, something to play around with. And I started with 2 drops. a day. And then I thought maybe I need more. And so I've not done the skin test to see if I absorb it or not with the povidone iodine, but I know that's a way to tell if you're getting enough. So, okay, well, I got to go make this one some supper. So anyone have any final thoughts? Nope. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate you being here, and thanks to everybody in the chat and anybody watching the replay for being in here and supporting all of us and helping to grow this community, because we're all in this together, you guys. We're all on our own individual journeys, but we are collectively becoming healthier, becoming the people we are meant to be by taking our health back into our own hands. So I appreciate everyone being here, and we'll see you next Thursday for another Carnivore Mastermind. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.